What's going on, guys? Patrick from B Squared. Today I want to be reviewing the Continental Extreme Contact Force tires. These are a 200 tread wear offering from Continental, and this is made to compete with a lot of the other endurance racing tires out there, such as the Hankook RS4. And basically, this is 2021, 2022 technology, co-developed by Hoosier, put into a tire that is new for the market and we can all use for endurance racing, which is exactly what we're doing with these tires through the NUMMI Racing program, and we're racing in the Lucky Dog Racing Endurance Series here in Canada. These tires have gone through 8 hours of Calabogie Motorsports Park in the heat.
And is it on or not, the drink?
And I'm talking 57 degrees in the cabin, 47 degree temperatures on the ground, ambient temperatures 35 degrees Celsius. And the reason I'm so excited about these is because they've just performed so well for us at NUMMI Racing. They're going on a Toyota 86 that weighs about 2,300 to 2,400 pounds. And we're racing these in 8 hours of lift wheel racing. During our first season of Lucky Dog Racing Canada, we tried out the AO52, the Hankook RS4, and a set of these at our endurance races. And for 2022, we've selected these to be our tire of choice, being that in terms of the wear, in terms of the pace, and in terms of wet performance, these have proven to be sort of the best tire all around as compared to the others. So these are a 255/40/17 that we're installing on a 17x9 wheel. The tires have two center ribs. They start at about 830 seconds deep, and they have wear indicators on the side to tell you how deep you've worn down the shoulder. So these tires have 8 hours on them. You can see we still have about 3 to 4 30 seconds of center rib left. But however, on the edges, they're quite worn. This was our left front tire. So all of the tracks in Ontario, Canada are clockwise. So we're wearing out the left fronts very quickly as compared to all the other corners. On this particular tire, you can see actually some chunking, some delamination, and the wear indicators here are pretty much down right to the carcass. And on the inside, we probably have between 2 to 3 30 seconds here. In terms of wear, after an 8-hour race in the sweltering heat, they're not corded, and they weren't terribly performing toward the end of the day, maybe a touch of understeer. At races in which we had a little bit more reasonable temperatures, for example, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park earlier in the season in May, we'd actually been able to use the set of tires for another 8 hours on top of the first race. So 16 hours of racing out of a single set of tires. That's pretty incredible, if you ask me. I mean, the only other tire that achieves that sort of performance is the Hankook RS4. We'd say, in comparison, the RS4 lasts maybe 20-30% longer. On the RS4, you usually find there is visibly more tread depth. However, they get heat cycled out faster. In fact, if you run the tire for so long, the heat cycling reduces the performance of the tire way before the actual tread depth gets too low. Whereas these tires, despite getting a little bit low on the edges, these still hold to their own in terms of performance, slightly better than the RS4s do toward the end of their life. So that's one of the reasons why we're really excited about these. They maintain performance for the duration of the 8-hour race. A lot of the comparisons I'm going to make are between these and the Hankook RS4, simply because we've had the most data on both of those tires, and we've only ran the AO52 for one race. You guys will notice from our previous video, we actually corded a set of AO52s at the end of an 8-hour race.
It's corded.
In which the temperatures weren't all that ridiculous. However, these went through much hotter temperatures. We still have, most of the outside shoulder. They obviously last longer than the AO52. However, the AO52 is a Super 200 tire. You should not expect that tire to last nearly as long as these tires, which were made for endurance racing, as opposed to raw lap time. On the topic of lap time, we'd slot these in right between the AO52 and the Hankook RS4. And when equipped with AO52s, our race car has gone between a second to half a second faster. However, with these tires, they would actually last the length of a race, which is great. Another thing I can totally commend these tires on is wet performance. There's just so much confidence that these tires give you in the wet, far more than the Hankook RS4. We don't have wet performance comparisons to the AO52. But these tires, compared to the RS4, they're just far better in the wet. It almost feels like you're in the dry. And in patchy conditions last year at Calabogie, we were breaking lap records with water still on the track. And I believe that might be due to the center ribs, the siping design. A majority of the work is being done by the compound, and I'm sure Continental and Hoosier wanted to make a tire that would withstand in the wet. The sidewall isn't the stiffest out of the Super 200s. I'd actually say the steering feel is better than the AO52, which also has quite a softer sidewall. The Hankook RS4s that we ran, they seemed a little bit harder on the sidewall, so in terms of like steering resolution, they're slightly better. But the performance in lap time for these tires makes it so much more worth it. The dry performance is great. The wet performance is incredible. And they're just very confidence inspiring. They're so capable. And I know this is probably like the cookie cutter answer, the default answer for a great tire is have a lot of feel, predictable slides, controllable slides. But these are truly it. I'd say when the AO52 gets greasy, maybe sort of like an RE71R, you can tell. When the RS4 gets greasy, we found them to just be really bad at understeer. In terms of just pure feel, these are the tires. These are what you want if you want to just have really consistent feel for the entirety of your stint.